Hi, a very good afternoon. Thank you for being present. And welcome for those of you who are here at the AsiaPay booth at the Singapore FinTech Festival, a very warm welcome. And for those of you who are watching this in the future online, I'm glad to have you as well. This is one of our platforms for the open and ongoing exchange of insights and ideas. And for the purpose of today's presentation, and since Christmas is around the corner, I have a little something to give to you today. I will speak on managing compliance operations, focusing on the Asia Pacific, where AsiaPay operates, and focusing on principles and stories. So let us first take a look at the big picture before we go into the three main points of the presentation. The three main points will be regulatory evolution, threat prevention, and cultural negotiation. First off, in the big picture, digital payments in Asia Pacific is booming. As you can see from the screen in front of you, digital payment as a payment method is projected to grow at a compound annual growth rate of 13% all the way through to 2027. And this is significant when you compare this figure to that in the North America and Western Europe, where the figures are only about 5 to 10%. This is really a story of hope and growth for the Asia Pacific. And there are many figures and data we can quote, right? For example, 10 out of 13 of the world's most profitable digital banks are in the Asia Pacific. We have like Rakuten, WeBank, and so on. And amidst this picture of growth, competition is also intensifying. As you can see in the funnel on the screen, where you have a lot of white space on top, and when you put in various market elements represented by the balls, we have price pressures, we have increased innovation because there are new entrants continually coming in. And then we also have the need for enhanced consumer experiences. Consumers nowadays, you and I are consumers also, we expect zero downtime, right, from payment services. So when you put all these market elements together in a white space, it becomes a very tight environment to play. And for the purpose of today's presentation, we also consider the regulatory landscape. The regulatory landscape has been evolving. And together, all this represents a very complex web of compliance operations for businesses to navigate. And it is against this context that we will further discuss three things. One, regulatory compliance and evolution. Two, threat detection and prevention. And three, cultural negotiation. Let us take a look at the first point, regulatory evolution. The key question to ask is, as regulation becomes heavier and heavier on FinTech, how do we maintain agility? And to answer this question, it's useful to go back a little bit in history. We move back, say, 17 years ago. 17 years ago, in 2007, the first iPhone was released. And in the past 10 to 15 years, the rate of smartphone penetration has increased dramatically. And this has enabled digital payments. And in response to the proliferation of smartphones and digital payments, we see that various regulators around the region have come up with responses also in a bid to pursue consumer protection, financial inclusion, and so on. And so this slide shows the host of new regulations that have been enacted in the Asia Pacific in the past 5 years. We can see that the Payment Services Act were enacted in Singapore and Thailand in 2019 and 17 respectively. And in Indonesia last year, interestingly, the Bank Indonesia expanded the scope of their anti-money laundering regulations to cover a wider range of financial institutions, including FinTechs and also trusts and securities. And in Malaysia, 2 years ago, the BNM released a policy document for payment service operators defining standards. So, early on in my career, when I would see new regulations, I would go like, what? Not again, so troublesome, what do we do, right? But now, being more seasoned, what I want to put across today is that it is important to be agile. And what does it mean to be agile, right? It is very hard, and what I can offer is this analogy of a water. Being agile and adaptable is to be like water. Water is like a mirror, reflecting the world around it. It just flows with the environment, it rolls with the punches. And one way in which we operationalize adaptability in AsiaPay is via the one framework, many markets approach. So what this means is that we have a centralized framework which we localize in various markets. And this allows both for group corporate consistency while adapting to various local regulations. And in real terms, what this means, for example, is we have a regional IT risk management policy. It's applied to generally the whole group. But in certain markets, such as Thailand, the Bank of Thailand requires, for example, that 2 IT reports be submitted every year. And then in Indonesia, the Bank of Indonesia has just mandated that there is a need for a weekly cyber patrol report to be submitted every week. And this is against the context of a clampdown on online gaming operators. So whether you are a compliance professional, an executive director, or a business owner, when we manage multinational operations, one way to do it is via this one framework, many markets approach. Excuse me. And let us now talk about secure transactions. As cyber threats become an everyday occurrence, how can we protect customers, first of all, and our organizations? So let us first take a look at the macro picture. We have an evolving and accelerating threat landscape. The Singapore FinTech Association estimates that digital fraud attacks rose by about 17% last year. And there is a real cost to it. For every dollar lost to fraud, it is estimated that it actually costs around $4, because there is also legal costs, consultancy costs, and so on. So at AsiaPay, we are very aware, and we take data privacy and security very seriously. Well, we have PCI DSS as our compass. And for the uninitiated, PCI DSS is basically a payment cards industry security standard where organizations are expected to protect customer data. And we have a range of measures ranging from, first of all, an information security policy, the restriction of staff access. We have contractual mechanisms also, and frequent audits. And finally, let us discuss about the third and final point, a kaleidoscope of cultures. When was the last time you actually peered into a kaleidoscope? Well, I remember when I was a boy, my dad bought me a kaleidoscope, and you will see a very beautiful, coherent picture that is made up of individual colored glass, right? And it's the same with operating in the Asia-Pacific region. The Asia-Pacific region is sprawling. It's very diverse. It's non-homogeneous. Depending on which definition you take, right? It could range from 30 nations to 45 nations. All the countries basically hugging the coast of the Western Pacific Ocean, right? From Oceania to Southeast Asia, all the way to North Asia. So the key question to ask is, when operating in the Asia Pacific, how to handle and leverage on cultural differences, regulatory diversity, and deliver commercial success. AsiaPay, we have been around, founded in 2000, and today we have 17 operational offices across 12 markets in the Asia Pacific. And we have a professional workforce headcount of 150 plus minus. So what happens is every day when I go to the office, I open my laptop. Actually, it feels like I'm entering a multicultural portal. You know, we have various projects, and all projects are cross-border, and therefore, as a natural consequence, cross-cultural, right? And so what we do is we talk about culture, and we talk about culture building, and we practice. We do not only talk about it, we practice cultural sensitivity. And I'm reading this book now by Ms. Teresa Sigletto Holima, entitled Virtual Teams Across Cultures. So Teresa is a cultural consultant with more than 25 years of experience. She was originally based in the US, and now she's based in the Netherlands. So let's take a look at what she says. Companies are keen to implement their global strategies, but they need the right culture and leaders. More than ever, global leaders and their teams need to develop cultural competence to succeed. Whether they get on a plane or sit behind a laptop or computer, culture is everywhere. People bring their cultural influences with them in how they communicate and how they make decisions that impact project outcomes. So operationalizing it in AsiaPay is an everyday occurrence. So for me, for example, when communicating with the Thai colleagues, I would be very aware to try to speak their local vernacular, and we have AI and tech nowadays. I would take the effort to type thank you, for example, in Thai, right? This is to show that there is mutual respect. And the Thais, they have this habit of typing, for example, 5555 in Teams. And 5 actually sounds like ha in Thai language, right? At first I didn't get it. But now in Singapore, you know, sometimes just as a courteous note, we will type haha. So with the Thais, what I do is I follow them. I type 5555, ha 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 ha, right? Yeah. And with the intonations, for example, I'm very cognizant to try not to, if there's nothing urgent, arrange morning meetings at their 9 a.m., although it's my 10 p.m. in Singapore. Because there's a lot of things that cannot be controlled in Jakarta. The traffic. Some of my colleagues take 2-3 hours to drive to the office. And I want to create a comfortable environment for them to function in. And I do not, for example, organize department meetings on Fridays between Jakarta local time, 12 noon to 1:30 p.m., for example, because Indonesia is a majority Malay Muslim country, and they would need to go to the mosque for Friday prayers. So all this is some of the things, how we practice cultural sensitivity. And the objective of this is really to show mutual respect, to develop a foundation of trust, and to create a culture, an environment of psychological safety so that everybody can function productively and we can be a very high-functioning cross-border and cross-cultural team. So with this, I just want to conclude by saying that compliance operations itself is already very exciting. When you overlay it with cross-border, cross-cultural work, day to day, day in, day out, it gets very exciting. Every day is colorful, right? And the reason why I think it's not often mentioned, but the reason why I shared about cultural negotiation today, because I strongly believe that that is a key success factor of a good commercial organization. I think very often we underestimate the soft factors, but I think it is the soft factors, the cultural comfort and the teamwork that makes a winning organization. So with this, I'd like to thank you once again for being present. We are AsiaPay. If you would like to take on any topics further, please email me. If it's not within my domain, I'll forward it to other relevant colleagues. And we look forward to maintaining an open platform for ongoing discussion, for the exchange of insights and ideas with you. Thank you.